I know Ben Franklin is there. I know Jefferson is that one. I know Jefferson, I believe, is that one. Washington's here somewhere, and Jay is one of the remaining four here at that table. I don't know which one Jay is, though. We're on slide 16 for those of you watching from home. So Washington didn't want to lose Jay. He wanted John Jay to hold a leadership position in his new government. So he appoints John Jay as Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. And additionally, he has the honor of being the first justice of the Supreme Court to ever be appointed, period. He was Washington's first appointment to the court, is what I'm saying. So he was justice number one, and he was the first chief. That makes sense now?
Yes.
So he refused to give formal counsel to members of the executive branch. This happens in many countries around the world. I did my thesis on Australia and a particular governmental incident that happened. I mean, the members of the High Court do give counsel to the Prime Minister and the Governor General down there, or at least they used to. I wrote my thesis about a 1974-75 incident. But John Jay wouldn't do that. He'd say something like, all right, George, after we get off the 9-to-5 shift and you stop being president and I stop being Chief Justice, I'm happy to go grab a beer with you and talk over any issues, that might have occurred throughout your day. But I'm not going to write you a letter from Mr. Chief Justice Jay to President Washington giving any sort of formal advice. Goes against the separation of powers and makes the judiciary seem, at least, like it's lesser than the executive branch when all three branches of government are co-equal. Got it? Good. But he wasn't really happy with what he could do in the role of Chief Justice. It's a very limited role. There's not a whole lot of power. You're just basically waiting around for somebody to come sue you. Not sue you, but for somebody to bring suit against somebody else. Hopefully John Jay didn't get sued. But not a powerful position. Jay was not ambitious, I would say, but he wanted to affect real change in the world. Mr. Andrews.
So he was the Chief Justice, but were there, it wasn't the same setup, the same number of justices in that time as there is now?
The number of justices has fluctuated. There is nothing in the Constitution that says we shall have 9 justices on the Supreme Court. But we can look, because that's a good question, to which I don't happen to know the answer. How many justices were on the first Supreme Court? There was 1 Chief Justice and 5 Associate Justices, according to George Washington's Mount Vernon. So it went from 6, and we've had as many as I think 15 in the course of our history.
And it's kind of just standard now at that 9 in modern politics, right?
Yeah, modern politics. There's nothing constitutionally stopping President Biden from appointing a 10th and 11th Supreme Court justice if he wanted to. There's nothing stopping that from occurring.
Why so many? Is there did each one have a different role, or did they?
No. I mean, the justices all, in these days of hyperpartisanship and nobody getting along with anybody, right now the court is 6-3 in favor of Republicans. of a conservative mindset. So what a fourth and a fifth justice might do if President Biden went through with this court packing thing that he's been talking about, or he did talk about in the campaign, would be to balance the court and make it more liberal. He could appoint, say, 4 justices, and then it would be a 7-3-6 split in favor of liberals. Now, these justices are supposed to be apolitical, yeah. So, Jay retired as Chief Justice, which was an odd thing. Well, not was, but he was, because he was the first one, which is an odd thing to think about today. I think Chief Justice Roberts will probably be carried out of the Supreme Court building in a coffin. Most of them don't retire. Ginsburg, for example, died on the bench. Not literally on the bench, but she was a serving justice when she unfortunately passed. Yeah, no, she didn't actually die on the bench. Yeah. So, 1800, he left political life. He moved back to his farm, and he studied and engaged with the church until he died in 1829. So he had a nice long retirement. And these are the first Chief Justices of the United States. Right there. Very solemn looking men. I would remember these names if I run short on questions, run short on points. I've pulled this one out. I don't anticipate being a problem with the final exam, because I mean, it could be one question long and it's 20% of your grade anyway. But it wouldn't hurt to just try to remember a couple of them. Salmon Chase. Melville Fuller.
These are the first Chief Justices.
The first Chief Justices of our Supreme Court. Might have asked my mom and dad, hey, why did you name me after a fish? So, parents have been naming their children odd names forever.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Apple.
Apple, yeah. So again, just to recap, John Jay, first Chief Justice, served from 1789 to 1795, appointed by George Washington. Just to recap. You doing all right today, Kaylee? You look very serious.
I mean, I'm tired. I had the stomach flu a couple days ago.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Got from work.
Well, that's terrible. I'm sorry about that.
Class yesterday, so I like today's my first day back.
I'm sorry about that.
It happens.
So he resigned to become governor of New York, succeeded by Mr. Rutledge. He was also the first justice to ever be put on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, that in 1795 when he left
He left in 1795,
and became.
governor of New York. Yeah. Did that for 5 years, 1800, retired, went back to his farm.
And died in 1829.
That's right.
Okay.
So you're remembering.
I didn't realize he was that important.
Not a lot of people do, which is why I make it a point to do this. All right. Anyone ever been to the Capitol? Yeah. Natalie, did you see this room?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know for a fact this is the old Supreme Court building.
My family is very in history of these classes and about the
Yeah. People were a lot smaller back then, too, I found. I couldn't imagine there are 3 cushions there. I couldn't imagine sitting 3 per people on, say, this couch. Very odd. That was used for 50 years full time. Now they have their own building.